And in case I was misunderstood, my objective is to try to prevent these from ever happening, from our law enforcement from ever having to respond to those. But I can appreciate preparedness includes response.
I can appreciate trying to prevent it, but as the conversations that I have heard, primarily over the media, but different people talking, I'm not sure you can ever prevent these totally. I think you ought to do everything you can to prevent every one of them you can. I totally agree. But, there are obviously people out there that no matter how identified, we do not have systems for doing things, locking people up until they've done something, unfortunately, even if we believe that they really are going to go off. So I think that maybe the easy thing to do is to be prepared if something does happen, while at the same time doing exactly what you're talking about there.
Okay. Tom?
I just wanted to report that this morning I just took it upon myself to go visit all the principals in the city. There are 10 schools that I could count, 2 private schools, 2 charter schools, 6 schools in the Moscow School District, including the alternative high school. And I managed to be able to speak to all of the principals and sit down with them when they had a moment and just offer to keep lines of communication open between the city and the school district or the various individual schools. Not that I had any answers or have any answers at all. Of course, I have more questions than I have any thoughts to solve these problems. But I just wanted to make sure that within Moscow, the principals knew that the city of Moscow, the government of the city of Moscow, was a partner with them, and that they didn't feel like they were islands out there without anybody supporting them. Whether or not they were in the Moscow School District, I wanted to make sure that all the schools felt like the city was hopefully part of the solution. That, it may not be that the city can do anything to help them. Maybe it's the state or maybe it's the federal government. But we were one more partner to help them be able to succeed in keeping the kids safe. One of the victims last Friday was the principal, who I can only imagine was trying to save any of those kids' lives. And it seemed like the only thing I could do today was to just visit with our principals here to let them know that, we had their back, and, just ask them, what is it that we can do? What is it that could help to prevent these things or to respond to these things here? And I heard all sorts of suggestions about improving unity in Moscow, where people feel like, the people in this community respect each other more, feeling like they've got all the resources that they possibly can, whether that might be a panic button under the desk of the administrator in the main room where they don't even have to pick up a phone and call 911, whether it was improved gun restrictions, whether it's improved state money for mental health programs. A few principals started giving me all sorts of statistics about Idaho's per student education spending compared to other states in the country. Some principals wanted to talk about mental health spending and cuts in recent years, as much as 26% in the state of Idaho. Some principals talked about people that they were concerned about, that they would like to discuss more about. So I think that there's a lot of different thoughts and ideas that people have, whether it's, glass or doors, numbers of doors on a particular school, or whether it's, wanting to make sure that their teachers and their parents and the kids all feel safe. Everybody had something to say today, and I just wanted to make sure that we the city of Moscow just participates as a partner in whatever avenue it is that we have. I mean, we've got an excellent police department, and they're the first line of response, of course. I just want to make sure that it's not just response after the incident takes place, if it ever does.
Thank you for your outreach, Tom. Yes, Wayne.
Well, Sandy Hook this incident will never go away, just like Columbine never went away. Mayor, I appreciate your comments about directing this toward the state legislature. Walter, I appreciate your comments on how to react in case this happens. You know, Sandy Hook was an extremely hard target, and the person still got in. But because it was such a hard target, it could have been part of the reason that the number of casualties were not higher than what they were. I have a concern whether our schools are soft targets or whether they could be, something can be done security-wise there. But absolutely, mental health is a primary concern. Funding for that to the state level. 2 years ago, the state of Idaho reduced the funding on mental health, and we're seeing results already in increased crime statistics because of mentally ill people that are not getting the treatment that they need. When we have an incident like this, we always talk, we don't always talk about it, but there's frequently the reaction is, this assault weapons need to be banned. He could have caused just as much damage with the 2 handguns he had and 2 extra magazines. The assault weapon, if it was banned, necessarily would not have stopped him, but mental health could have stopped him. Finding out the problem and directing ourselves and our resources to curing him and making him a productive member of society if possible, and if that wasn't the case, identifying the fact that he had to be institutionalized. But the two have to go together. We have to figure out the best ways that we can to identify the individuals that need the help. But it's still not going to go away. And unfortunately, I think saying that if we, and Mayor, I also agree in the fact that gun shows, for instance, we need tighter regulations there. I think that we need to have better qualified people if they do have concealed weapons permit or if they buy weapons. But to ban weapons completely or to ban assault weapons would be the same thing as saying, well, to get rid of drunk drivers, we're going to get rid of cars. It's not really a realistic situation. It's not a realistic solution. But the mental health aspect certainly is.
Well, and I think the issue about what kinds of weapons are sold in what quantities to what people under what circumstances and the size of the ammunition clips plays a role in that. But I do think that we need to start the conversation, and I'll challenge the council to collect data and to come up with things that we can address locally, even if it is just advisory or in a questioning way. To say it's not our problem because we're only local government doesn't cut it. We are all culpable. We are all responsible for our brothers and sisters and across the country, and try to figure something out. So I know I'll be asking some questions. I'll be soliciting input from people who are in positions to know better than I about what regulations are in place, what policy possibilities are out there, and how we can address these things. Chief, you also mentioned the NIMS training, and I know that a few months ago we received an email notice, or perhaps as hard copies as well, saying that one level of NIMS training was required of elected officials. And I know I've taken the basic level. I know Dan has taken it because of all of his work with the emergency response. But I think some of our other council members have yet to do it. So I challenge you to do that. I challenge you. I need to get up to the second level myself. But some
I'm
of those
unaware
things,
that we've been informed.
Yeah, I think they want us to be trained up too. So we'll track that down. Sandy Rollins has that
I must
information.
have missed the invite.
Or
I
Dan,
missed out on this too.
Dan
what are we
has
talking
as
about?
well. So, Chief, anything else to add to our conversation on this tonight?
No, I believe this will start a enlivened discussion, debate, and hopefully a deliberation with a positive outcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your coming up
Thanks,
tonight.
Chief.
Yeah.
There's our new Secretary of State, Mr. Diplomat.
We're lucky to have a chief
I'll
of
plead
police in his
ignorance. What does NIMS stand for?
Nat? Dan.
National Incident Management System.
And there's, a
Incident management. Okay.
so
Am I
anyway.
correct,
we'll-
Chief?
There you go. All right.